So welcome to the student life information session. So we've got another great panel behind me, including one of our students, also one of my mentees, Austin Clark. And you'll notice as well Nancy Webster taking her admissions hat off for a moment, which is something that I think we all think is really cool here at university, that no matter your role or your title here, you really get to have a lot of involvement with students on a regular basis. So Nancy is not just a director of admissions, but also a mentor. She has taught January term classes and other classes here, and so we want this opportunity to share a little bit about student life generally with you all, whether that means college counseling, mentoring, sports clubs, January term, and everything else. So with that, I want to turn things back over to Jake Thurman, who's hiding behind me, and give you an opportunity to meet everybody here. And would encourage you, Jake will talk about this in a little bit, but would encourage you all, any questions that come up along the way, please feel free to post them into the Zoom chat, and we'll try to work our way through as many of those as we can. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Taylor. All right. So as Taylor said, I'm Jake Thurman. I teach history here, but I'm also the Dean of Students, and I'm the faculty sponsor of the Stewardship Council, which is basically our version of student government and kind of the student organization that kind of manages student life at the school, which I'm sure we'll get into as we go along here. And I've taught here for 9 years, in case you weren't in the last meeting. I've taught here for 9 years, and for 8 of those years I've been with the Stewardship Council, and then in the last 2 years I've been the Dean of Students. So along that time, really what stood out to me and what makes university is working with the students outside of class just as much, it seems, as inside of class. The community that we have here really permeates the educational component, the student life component, and all of that together really communicates together and really works together to create this holistic experience that I've found to be something that, you know, every day when I go home I feel like I've accomplished something, or I feel like I'm a part of something on my way in every morning as well. And that kind of inspiration day in and day out, especially for me, a person who, my wife would tell you, likes to go on whims with what I'm interested in and not interested in. And I have a lot of guitars and cameras and other things at home that I've bought and spent a lot of money on and invested in to become a hobby, and lost track of over the years. Not the case here. Every single day, I feel like I'm coming here to work with people that I care about and on something that I really, really care about. And that would not be possible if it wasn't for that student life component. And so I'm really excited to get to share some of that with you today, with some amazing people that I get to work with every day and go to school with every day. And so enough from me for now. Let's hear from you guys. So why don't we start, since you already know Nancy, maybe we'll start with Nancy and then work our way around.
Well, hello again. I'm Nancy Webster. I am one of the founding members of this school. I helped to found the school 21 years ago. But what I also am is a mentor. And people sometimes, when I go to admission director conferences across the country, and everybody says what they do, and everybody says, well, I'm the admission director. And I say, well, I'm the admission director, and I mentor 7 kids, and I help out with a couple of clubs, and I teach January term and travel with kids. And they all look at me like, where do you work? And I can't say, well, I work at the best high school that I know of. But it's the great piece of this job that I have that really doesn't feel like a job, that really feels like a passion, that I get to work with kids, that I get to go to basketball games and scream my head off. You'll hear from Coach Blanding later. He knows that sometimes I'm a little loud in the stands, and I've had several kids say to me, it's probably better for you to clap, because when you say traveling, they're not traveling. So I've gotten really better at clapping and just saying, go Blazer girls or Blazer boys. And I can talk to you more about why I'm here, but I'm also the mother of an alum who's a teacher now at a public school in town, and who's actually one of the assistant coaches right now for the boys basketball team. So this is a family affair for me, and I just couldn't be happier to be here tonight and that I get to sit next to Austin Clark, who's pretty cool and a really sharp dresser.
Well, thank you, Nancy. So I'm Austin Clark. I'm a senior here at university, and so I've been here since my freshman year. And I went to Carmel Middle School before I came to university, so I saw that somebody is from Carmel Middle School. So if you're coming from a bigger school, I can talk a little bit about that. But kind of talking about what Thurman and Nancy have said. What makes this place so special is how invested everybody is in this community. So you don't just have somebody coming to teach their periods and then they leave, or you don't just have students coming in to just go through, or well, 4 periods a day, I guess now. But you don't just have your students coming in to come to class and then leave. So I genuinely I come to school because it's like I get to hang out with 338 now, I think. Something like that. Yeah, so I get to hang out with 300 plus of my friends, which makes it interesting, but it's also super fun. And I guess I get to see Taylor Newell every day. But yeah, because Taylor's my mentor. And so a little bit about me. I am I'm the president of Blaze Craze this year I'm co-president with Jillian Sager. She's a junior. So basically, Blaze Crazes are like school spirit club, if you like. That's a way to put it. So basically, we just boost the spirits of the school, like whether it's just little things like sporting events or academic team or just kind of everything. We just really want to emphasize Blazers supporting Blazers no matter what it is, and so we do that. And recently, well, actually today, we made really nice shirts, so we're passing those out to the school as of now. And I just got back from swim practice, so if I look a little crazy, that's why. And so I swam all 4 years, both of those things I never thought I'd ever be doing, but it just so happened that I came to this school, and I kind of not fell into it, but I just as I started to learn more about myself, it was just fun. It was just a fun way to be a part of my community because everybody is so invested here. And just because everybody is doesn't mean you have to, but generally just everybody likes to be. And I was going to say something about sports. Yeah. So, and I'm sure that Blanding can talk more about this, but so we have a no-cut rule. So that's why I was able to join the swim team because I have never previously swam before in my entire life, but I was just like, you know what? It seems like a fun thing to do. I feel like that'd be fun. And here I am. This is my 4th year swimming, and I really enjoy it. So that was just a little bit about me.
All right. Thanks, Austin. And Justin? You wanna go?
Yeah. So I'm Justin Blanding. I wear a lot of hats here, which is what I like. What I really like about this place. So I teach physical education and health, sports management, team sports. What else? I help in the athletic office as assistant athletic director. Also, I'm the chair of the Equity and Justice Committees, and also serve as the diversity coordinator. And like I just mentioned, I like this school because I get to wear a lot of hats and I get to work with so many different people, but also learn with people, and mainly learning with the kids. So just as much as the kids learn from us as teachers, faculty members, mentors, etc. We like to learn from the students as well, and this place definitely provides that, and that's what I really like about it. I started here in 2010 as just a volunteer coach with the boys basketball program, and then over the years, just being around and learning the culture, I got an opportunity to become a teacher here. And so when I became a teacher here, I already knew the culture. I already knew, just the community. So it was an easy transition for me, and I understood it. And that's one of the special things about this place too, was that you have to really experience it to understand it and understand what we're about here. And so this is my 7th year back in the classroom, but overall, been here 12. So it's been a great experience for me. And like I said, this is kind of like what Nancy said. Like when I come to work every day, it's not work for me. This is what I enjoy doing, and so I have no issues with it. I'm here a lot of hours. I'm the girls basketball coach here, so I'm here all the time, and I love every second that I'm here. So.
Great, thanks. And then Maddie?
Hello, my name is Maddy MacAllister. A fun fact about me is I'm actually a graduate of University High School. I graduated in the second graduating class, and the school was way different then, but what I like to always say, it still has the same bones as it does now. It's just matured a little bit. So what I do now, I am the director of college counseling. I'm the girls soccer coach, softball coach, and I teach yearbook. What I love about my job, like everyone else has said, is that I get to wear lots of different hats. So a lot of times when you talk to a college counselor at any other schools or a guidance counselor, they're doing the same thing all day. They're talking to students about their classes. They get a snapshot of the student just on their transcript or resume. And what I get to do here is I actually get to know students on the personal level, whether that be on the athletic field, in the classroom, through January term, or just if they're coming into our office and hanging out, which I really love. I'll give you a little snapshot of college counseling. So we offer a 4-year college counseling program here. And we always joke with the freshmen that we start their first week of freshman year. So we purposely don't do a lot with freshmen, but we want to make sure they know who we are. So there are 2 directors of college counseling, me and Ladea Conde. And we want to make sure that they recognize our faces, they have an idea of what to look forward to during their 4 years of high school, and then we just kind of let them acclimate and get used to high school. We also introduce them to our transcript, so students know going into high school that their grades are going to count starting their freshman year, and that colleges are going to look at those grades as they're making a decision. Then we kind of let them get used to life as a high school student, and we do more for parents during freshman year. And then we also meet with them during second semester of their freshman year just to check in. Again, say, hey, remember us? Then we start meeting more and more sophomore year. So sophomore year, we meet at the beginning of the year. We offer the PSAT to both sophomores and juniors. And then we start meeting individually with students starting their sophomore year. So we want to make sure we're checking in, taking a look at their transcript, talking about a potential college list, and encouraging students to always keep a resume. We also take students on a college trip, so we want to make sure they're seeing 2 different types of colleges with us as college counselors, so they're getting an idea of what to actually look for as they're doing their own college research. Then we joke junior year that we become best friends because we're meeting every single month. So in fact, this week, we are offering our second junior seminar for college counseling, where we are having students actually come up with a list of 10 colleges and writing a narrative about why those colleges should be on their list, and if they're a good fit school, a likely school, or a reach school. And we want students in their own words to explain why those schools fit those characteristics for that student. The goal of junior seminar is to make sure students realize that their college list is going to be extremely individual to what their needs are. And no college list will ever look the same coming from University High School. So we want to make sure we really stress that. Then in junior year, we will meet twice individually with students. We're always available at any time, but we have 2 scheduled meetings that we ensure that we're meeting with every single junior. And then senior year, we are all hands on deck getting seniors and their applications out the door. And in fact, we have a deadline that our entire school in Austin just finished up with this deadline, but October 31st is the day that we ask for all college applications to be completed. Teachers know for recommendation letters that that's when they need to submit those letters. And then it's kind of a celebration for seniors as they wait to hear back from schools. so that's kind of my job in a nutshell and who I am. And thank you all for being here this evening.
Awesome. So on that note, Austin, do you want to give us a little rundown on what the process was like for you the last few months?
Stressful. It was really, really stressful, but it helped. It was such a help to have. So Lede is my counselor. I don't have Maddy, but it was really helpful to know that whenever I had a question, I would always shoot Lede a text and be like, so when I'm doing this application, should I do this or should I do this, and she would give me an answer like that. And so, kind of the availability, which is what I really like about the college church here, because talking to my other friends that go to other schools are like, yeah, no, I kind of just do everything on my own, or like I found my schools on my own, and like they were just kind of by themselves. So I definitely did not feel that. I definitely felt like I always had somebody, whether it was to edit my papers. I sent all of my stuff to Taylor all the time, and so and I know that a lot of other students would send stuff to their teachers and just be like, hey, can you read this really quickly, or like what do you like about this? Is the grammar right? And so just like really perfecting those applications. But yeah, it was a stressful time. I applied to 9 schools.
What are some of the schools you're looking to go to?
So I want to go to a smaller liberal arts college. So my top choices are Pitzer College and Pomona College. They're out in Claremont, California. But that's not the most realistic school. So it's amazing if I could go there, and I may have a good shot. But also I applied to Butler and IU and DePaul, which I got into, but I forgot to tell Lede, so don't tell her before. Nobody tell her before I tell her.
It'll be our secret.
And then, but yeah, and then I applied to North Carolina A&T and Howard. So I'm looking forward to getting results back soon.
So do you feel like you would have had those same colleges on your list had you not gone here?
Oh.
Like, I guess maybe speak to that a little bit. Like,
yeah, so definitely not. I realized here that so even with going to Carmel Place schools, like when you're in your middle school or in like elementary classes, you don't realize how big it is, or like you don't realize that the attention that you're getting seems like you're getting plenty of attention with your teachers. But it's kind of what Blanding said. When you kind of have to go here to know to the extent of, like, I could talk about it all day, but it's really a different experience, like experiencing it. And so I definitely would just be looking at like your typical like state schools, like, not that that's a bad thing, because a lot of people that I know, and not saying exactly, and not saying that you can't go to a state school here, because a lot of my friends are applying to really big schools, but I think that my college search would be totally different if I weren't going here. And I feel like I wouldn't have as strong of an application, because I felt like I would have felt like I was bothering people if I was asking them to read my stuff, or like,
yeah.
if I always had a question, like I'd feel like I'd be bugging my guidance counselor, but I know that's what they love to do here. So
Well, great. Okay.
I was just thinking about college counseling and mentoring, because I'm not going to mention any last names, but there's a student, my student Matt, who had great college counseling, and but his parent decided he was going to apply to 17 schools, and he was paralyzed by it. He had great college counselors, but he didn't know what to do, so we ordered pizza one night and just stayed in my office till about 11 o'clock, and he just kept filling out the applications. Then on December 21st, which was way past, everything was in by Halloween, he called me and said, I think I want to apply to Vanderbilt. It was December 21st. I'll never forget it. And we worked it all out, and Maddy helped with that one. And we got the application off to Vanderbilt, which is where he ended up going. And he ended up then going to Notre Dame's law school, and he's still a friend of mine. But the point is that we have 2 amazing college counselors, but you also have a mentor. And that mentor is not the expert. I go to Maddy all the time with questions, but the mentor can be the other person to help. And that's the other component of this. And the other thing I want to say about mentoring is that last spring, when we were on lockdown, COVID, everything was shut down. You know, we were all struggling. Everybody was struggling. We all felt sad and kind of scared. And I started getting emails, and the name of the email account was Nancy's Notes. So I was getting these anonymous emails, which could be scary, but it isn't, because this person started sending me inspirational messages, quotations, beautiful photographs to boost my spirits. So this is a teenager. I finally found out who it was. A 14-year-old girl was sending me quotations and beautiful photographs to say, I'm thinking about you and I care about you. I would say that in terms of student life, from my own son's time here at university, his mentor was Maggie Dean, a fabulous woman who's retired now. But mentoring is at the heart of this. And our teachers teach 4 classes instead of 5. So we don't just add on mentoring, like say, okay, teachers, you got to teach 5 classes and you're going to have 7 to 10 mentees. No, they teach 4 classes. And it's still, 4 classes is still a lot of hard work, but it allows for them to be great mentors. And mentoring, I think, is at the heart of student life.
Good. So you have no way of knowing that that was actually in the chat as to what we're going to talk about next. Okay. So great transition. That was wonderful. So speaking of the chat, and so we have a couple questions coming in now. I'm going to ask a question about mentoring that we'll just kind of go around and discuss a little bit. And then we will, hopefully, by the time that discussion's over, have some more questions in the chat about student life, about what it's like to be a student here or to be an adult here that interacts with students here in a lot of different capacities from you guys in the chat. So what I hope this will be is more of us answering the questions you want to have answered for the rest of the time, as opposed to us just talking about whatever it is we decide we want to talk about, okay? So if you would like to be thinking and typing into the chat, I'll try to manage those as we start with just maybe expanding on the idea of that connection between student life and mentoring here at university. I don't know if we can start over here with Maddy.
Yeah. So mentoring isn't a relationship that just happens for 4 years. That's the first thing I want to say. I, in fact, got a text from both my former mentee and a former mentee's mom today, randomly out of the blue, just checking in, sending me a picture our time. Oh, I think it was from her graduation. And just wanted to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. And that happens like a couple times each week. So I currently have 6 mentees, and mentees in all grade levels. And what's really nice is that I get to see how they're doing. I get to check in. I get to be that adult that really goes to bat for those students here. And that relationship just doesn't stop in the walls of this building. The relationship continues. And that's what I love about mentoring. I get to really watch a student grow. I get to be an advocate for that student. And that student truly becomes a friend of mine. So I've been super lucky. Every 4 years, we offer a soccer trip that goes to, we've gone places in Europe. And I've had a couple mentees who have been soccer players, so I've gotten to travel with them, both during those soccer trips. During January term, I've been able to be their teacher. I've been able to be their coach. And so you get to, again, get to know the student at the personal level. You become extremely close with their family as well. And it's just a really rewarding experience, not just for the student, but especially for the adult.
Great.
Yeah, I know mentoring for me, in a lot of ways, it has allowed me and helped me become a better person. You know, getting to know so many different people and personalities and things like that. Like being a basketball coach, I'm around, you know, a lot of that, but mentoring is different. You get to know them on a different level. And you know, we normally meet with our mentees, you know, once every other week. But as you go and as you get to know them, you're seeing them every single day. So you're pretty much mentoring with them every day. They come see you, all the time. You see them. The communication is always there if they need something. You send messages, emails, all this stuff all the time. You're like Maddie said, which is really good for me because I'm not the most talkative person at times, but I am close with my mentees' parents. And I just actually, well, I didn't graduate them, but they graduated, and so I have a new group, and so I'm already really close with those families already, and already started relationships with them. So, like I said, mentoring, like I said, it definitely helps you become better in everything that you're doing and in your relationships. One thing that I really like too, and Maddie kind of hit on it with J term and things like that. When you're with your mentees, like you also get to know like your mentees like best friends. You know what I mean? So like they kind of become an extension of like your team as well. So it's just a great experience. And like I said, it really gets you get to know them, know their friends, know everything about them, and you get to know the same thing about you. So I just, I really value that and treasure that, and I enjoy every minute of mentoring here.
Great. And then, Austin, what about you? Your experience as a student whose student life very much is involved in mentoring?
So yeah, my mentor is Taylor Newell once again, and he's okay. No, I'm just kidding. So it's probably been like I walk away. We have mentoring meetings. Every Friday that I'm on campus, so every other Friday. But I walk away from our conversations on Friday like, wow, it could change my mood. Like I could be in the worst mood walking in there and like coming away from it, I'm like, wow, like, and like and it's just stuff. It could be stuff as random as like art that I'm working on, or like, and then so we end up talking about that, but then it will like go into just such a deep conversation that I didn't know I was gonna have. So it's like interesting, and that's just really enjoyable. And oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, and so I just think it's really good. So aside from the conversations that I have with Taylor, it's also just really good to have a spokesperson in the faculty, because like Taylor knows more about my life than most of the faculty. So if let's say it's like I'm having a rough week, or I know that during quarantine was really hard, or not quarantine, but just like e-learning in March, like that wasn't the best for me, and it was actually really hard to get stuff done. And I feel like kind of the same for everybody. It was just hard to be productive. And so not only would Taylor like help motivate me and like would like think of like plans, but it was good that he was there because he could reach out to my teachers, because he's known them longer than I have, obviously. And so he could be like, hey, this is how Austin is feeling. So like not take it easy on him, but just be mindful of that in class. And so that was also really helpful. But yeah, I just think it's really fun to have a friend in the faculty, and it is like it's not just mentoring every other week. I'll stop by Taylor's office like whenever I'm in the area, or like it's just a little conversation that I can have every day. So it's really fun.
And Nancy, do you want to go ahead?
I think one thing that's interesting about mentoring, and it doesn't happen with every single mentee, but it happens with a whole lot of them. I was just out to brunch with a couple of sitting outside 6 feet apart wearing a mask, with some of my mentees who are now actually lawyers in town. One of my mentees, who's a teacher, she had a beautiful wedding, but she had a budget. And I said, well, I'm decent at making flower arrangements. And I did all the flowers for my mentee's wedding. It was like a blast and so much fun, and a tiny bit scary, but that's the kind of thing. It's like we do things for our mentees now and later, but the reality is that they do stuff for us now and later. So I have one sophomore mentee, a young man, who every time we have mentoring, as he's walking out the door, or if we're doing it over Zoom, he says, oh yeah, one more thing. How are you doing? And it's real, and that's who he is, and that's what we've created. So mentoring is incredible, and I can't imagine going to another school, working somewhere else, and not being able to be a mentor. It would just be heartbreaking. It's the best part. It's the best part of our school, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's a question in the chat that I'll kind of answer and Nancy, maybe you can help me too, since we're the ones who do this. It's asking about how mentors are assigned. And so mentors are assigned based on the availability, as Nancy has mentioned. Teachers have a particular load up to 10 mentees that they're assigned. And so some years, if I don't have anyone that graduates, for example, and I have 10 mentees, then obviously then I don't have openings for the next year's class, right? So, so we take that into consideration. And then with the mentors that do have openings, this summer, Nancy and Alicia LaMagdalene and I sat around 6 feet apart in the summer when no one else was here, and went through the files of the freshmen coming in, went through the list of mentees or mentors, that had openings, and we tried our best to take a look at what little, obviously, we know about the students coming in, and the great amount that we know about the mentors that we have, and tried to make matches that we thought would not only be compatible in terms of like interests or personality, but also compatible in terms of the needs of the students that are varied, that come from different middle schools, have different levels of achievement or different interests in terms of subjects that they want to be more invested in than others. Sports, is this person's a basketball coach, this is a kid who enjoys basketball or sports, those are kinds of things that we look at as well, and trying to find that good fit. And while it doesn't always 100% of the time work out, the vast, vast, vast majority of the time it does. And so, and it's not to say that it works out right away. And so patience is key. An example, one of my mentees that just graduated last year, she was my mentee from freshman year on. In freshman year, our conversations were maybe 5 minutes in 5-minute chunks that first semester until we could actually sit down and talk to one another. And she and her partner were just over at my house last weekend because they graduated and they're bored and they're quarantining, and they wanted to come over since it was nice out and sit on the back porch and have dinner with my wife and I. And they are 2 of the 4 people that have been to my house since quarantine has happened, and they've come over several times. So we've gone from this relationship where we couldn't even speak to each other for more than 10 minutes at a time without it becoming too awkward, to her texting me asking when she can bring her dog over to play with my dogs again, right? And so that kind of relationship, and I anticipate that's a relationship that now she's my mentee, but now we're friends, right? And her family is friends with my family, to understand.
And I also think that if it doesn't work out right away, I know that a few of my friends have switched mentors. If there is availability, there is the option to switch, which I don't think, I actually can't talk about how common that is. I don't know, but so
Not
I know,
super
yeah.
common.
So because they do a really good job. They do a really good job of pairing mentees with mentors. But if, let's say that the student isn't feeling that connection and they do have a connection with a particular teacher that is available, they can always switch. And Taylor may be my mentor, but I feel like there are other teachers that I'm also close with that won't turn the door down if I want to go have a conversation with them. So they're not like, oh, actually, sorry, after hours, like, gotta go. Like, we can actually sit there, and I know with my art teacher, Tasha, we can sit there and have similar conversations to what I may have in mentoring, but it's just with a different person. So
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with everything, but one thing that we kind of forgot that's very, very important is when you come on your shadow visit, that's when a lot of the relationships are built with people. So when you shadow, you're interviewed by one of the faculty members, and then you ask them questions, you kind of get to know them and things like that. So oftentimes that's when you have that connection. I know, four mentees that I have now from that shadow visit, we connected from there, and then it just so happens that we were paired up. So I think that's also a very important part to the whole process as well. And so, even from that shadow visit, and then, when I get the news that they're, my mentee, like, I'm excited, they're excited, and we start talking and exchange numbers and doing all that stuff. And so, I think that's a very important piece too,
Yeah.
to the whole process.
And then, so sometimes I kind of mentioned this with my mentee, who I didn't come out and say it exactly like this, but she was and is a very introverted person and a shy student. And so there's a parent in here that is asking about how those introverted students are able to be integrated into the activities and into the student life here, purposefully, I suppose. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I and others, but I always say is that at university, high school, unless you really want to, nobody eats lunch alone. And we talk about that with all the kids, all the community members. And that's just a start, right? That you're not going to eat lunch alone. Somebody's going to reach out. Somebody's going to say, come on and have lunch with me. But the other thing is that we don't think that because you might be a quiet or introverted person that you need to change and be outgoing. We want you to be who you are and be comfortable in that and be quiet enough to listen. So I have had mentees who were painfully shy and very introverted. And what I had to do, and one of the people who's one of my mentors for this is Justin Blanding, because as you get to know him, if you come to our school, he's a great listener and he gives people time to say what they need to say. And I've been working on that for the last couple of years and I'm getting a little better at it. So with some of those shy kids, the point is to just wait and to give them a chance to form what they want to say and then take it as it is and then we go to the next step. So for those shy kids, what we know is that the mentors help them say, well, did you see that there's peer tutoring? And my gosh, you're doing so great in geometry. Would you want to be a peer tutor? Oh, I never really thought about that. Well, come on with me. We'll go see Ellen Wallerstein and see if you want to be a peer tutor. Or I thought you really were doing well in Spanish. Well, I am. Well, have you joined the Spanish club? Well, I don't know anything about it. Well, come on, let's take a walk. Let's go find Melissa Burke and figure out how to be in the Spanish club. So the mentor helps you and helps those quieter kids kind of be who they are, honor who they are, but but have them be a part of the community. So everybody here doesn't have to be as outgoing as Austin. We love Austin, but everybody can't be as outgoing. And some of these students that I have right now who are pretty introverted, they are giving in their own ways. They might be on the volleyball team and not the most verbal on the volleyball team, but if you talk to Coach Thompson, maybe the most reliable and the kindest.
Yeah. And I would say, oh, go ahead.
So what I always like to tell students too, especially I get the opportunity to interview students a lot as they're doing their visits here to university, and I always tell students, encourage them to play a fall sport, even if they are not the most outgoing. Maybe they're a little bit shy, because they get an instant group of teammates and friends. So on that first day of school, when they're introduced, they can look out in the crowd and they can say, oh, there's that senior who actually knows my name and will say hi to me in the hallway. So I always encourage students to do that. And what's beautiful about our sports program is that it's all inclusive and we don't have cuts. So even if you've never played a sport before, or you could be a D1 collegiate level athlete, which we have both of those playing on our very competitive athletic teams at the same time, which is kind of a cool thing how that happens. But they have an instant group of friends and they're able to get a great experience and get to know people and push themselves a little bit to get out of their comfort zone. So that's another way to help a student like that too.
Yeah. And I think, so with the Stewardship Council, they plan all of the events basically. that the school does for students. So dances, uh, movie screenings. We had a fall fest a couple weeks ago. Um, just all kinds of events that engage students in a lot of different ways. They also cultivate clubs and club signups and the club fair to try to encourage kids who wouldn't otherwise just show up at a club to have a space where it's socially acceptable to walk around and put your name on a piece of paper to join a club that's led by a person you've never met before, right? Particularly as a new student. And so I think because um, interaction with people who you're not gonna like go spend the night at their house next weekend, like you don't know them that well. We've normalized interactions between groups of people who in other schools you might just call acquaintances, right? And I think by normalizing those interactions, I think it makes it more comfortable for students who don't necessarily seek out those interactions to feel still in their comfort zone participating in those interactions, if that makes sense. So I think there are a lot of kids on student council, which is also no cut, by the way, who identify as introverts. And so when we plan events, they plan specific things at those events for students like them and for their friends, right? So we'll have a dance, a winter formal dance, and there will be a part of the room where you can sit and play games and play cards and like do other things that aren't dancing and jumping around out on the main dance floor, right? And so there are all kinds of little just thoughtful touches like that that genuinely come from the students themselves as they think about what it's like to be a student moving through this space in all whatever that means to the variety of students that we have, and they try to meet those needs. And it sounds to me, I came from I taught here after I taught at a large public school where I spent a lot of effort as the person who ran student council there, trying to promote kindness towards other students, which was difficult in a school with like 900 to 1,000 kids in a middle school who don't know each other's names and are never going to see this kid again. It's a lot easier to be mean to someone or to make someone feel uncomfortable if you don't have to actually like interact with that person ever again, potentially, right? Well, this is a school where we are, for better or worse, although now it's 6 feet apart, we're in each other's spaces, but in a way that's respectful of those spaces. And I think that makes it a lot more comfortable for students who really don't want people in their space to be able to say that, and then to also find the spaces that they do want to interact in. So you will find that I would venture to guess that almost every kid that goes to our school is involved with a club, a sports team, or some type of extracurricular activity in that way, right? And I think that's not because they're required to, but because it's so easy to be, and it's hard not to be, honestly. And so I think that speaks to, I think, that question a little bit about how are introverted or shyer students encouraged to join activities. I think everyone's encouraged to join activities, and the activities are thoughtful in ways that don't expect you to have to like jump out to be noticed or to be invited or to be included.
You know, and one thing we haven't touched on, and there's lots of activities we haven't talked about, but when we started the school 20 years ago, I was the founding theater director. That's actually my training. And we put on plays. We had 28 kids, and we put on shows, and we worked our way up to musicals and plays, and we didn't have a stage yet. Now we do. We do have a stage. We created a stage for outdoors because of COVID. Our theater director is Callie Hartz. You can Google that. She is a equity actress, but she's a professional actress and director who is also a professional teacher. So she wants to be a high school teacher, and she's great at it. And when she produces the musical, the tradition we started 19 years ago, she kept it going. Anybody who wants to be in the musical can be in the musical, so it's a no cut. So she's had musicals here before. We have over the years that have had 40 or 50 kids in the musical, and it's a beautiful thing to see. So this year our musical is Grease, and it's going to be in June, and I don't know the date in my head, but it'll be on it'll be on our website. So theater is alive and well here and is an extracurricular activity that lots of kids get involved in, and kids become stage managers, lighting designers. So if that's your cup of tea, there's a place for you. Of course, we have classes in theater, but you can be a part of the theater program and never take one of those classes. Maybe you're a musician, you're going to take music all 4 years. You play the trumpet, but you also want to be working backstage on the play or be on stage. Lots of opportunity in theater and music here, and we hope you look at the website and check that out.
Yeah. And then I think actually this space that we're sitting in right now is a good example of an activity that involves students across that spectrum of extrovert, introvert, because this is the studio where we do morning meeting. We normally did morning meeting on stage live every day with 300 people in the auditorium in front of us. But obviously we can't do that with COVID. So some students, and just students, over the summer decided they wanted to transform this space into a TV studio, basically. And so every day we produce morning meeting here, basically a 15-minute TV show, and then twice a week we do like a 45-minute seminar period produced here as well. And in the crew are kids that you couldn't pay to come sit in this side of the camera and speak the way we're speaking now. And then in front of the camera, you have students like Austin, who's actually one of the hosts, the anchors of morning meeting occasionally. So I think that is similar to the theater program. Actually, a lot of the kids involved are also kids that are involved in the theater program and the crew behind the scenes as well. So just an example of that. And in case you're wondering, what is this strange space we're sitting in as well? And it has like a fun green screen over there. You can see all that too. It's really quite a production. And this is the stage. Since we couldn't do a play inside, we decided to use this space for the TV studio this year. Okay, a couple more questions. We have one about career counseling and what kind of career advice and counseling services or ideas do we encompass? Maybe talk a little bit about internships, maybe. And yeah, go for it.
So we do, as part of our individual meetings that we have with students and within junior seminar, we offer very, very, very basic career counseling, but we do talk about it. So we have a couple different softwares, different activities that we will do with students. And we also, if you want a more formal career counseling, we have resources for that as well. So that's something that we do with almost every student. Will have some sort of career counseling. Through J-Term, we also offer an internship program. So this year, there are 22 students who signed up for an internship. So what that is a 90 hours during January term, where instead of taking a traditional January term class, they'll actually do an internship in a topic of their choosing. So they go out, they find the internship, and they work or shadow or get involved in a career for those 3 weeks during January term. What's really cool about internships is that students will either be like, this is it. This is what I thought I was interested in. I love it. Or they're like, what did I sign up for? And so that's a really nice thing that we offer. Internships are offered for only juniors and seniors. We have had a couple of students who will do an internship twice. So they might do it their junior year and be like, I really want to explore this more. They might have made connections with like a physician or a teacher, and they want to go the next step. So that happens usually one student every year. And so that's a really nice program that we offer. Always the feedback that we get from the supervisors is that they can't believe these students are only in high school. They're so much more efficient and better suited than the college students that actually have to do internships for graduation requirements. So I think that's a really cool thing about our school.
I know one thing that I do in my health class when we have our occupational wellness unit is, we go over that. Like, we do a bunch of things and find out what their interests are, what their skills are. And then a lot of them already kind of know. And so what we do with that is, we put all that together, then they figure out, what they want to do. And so from there I say, okay, so you want to do this, what does it entail? How long is the education? What's your backup plan if it doesn't happen? What other careers in that field can you do if this doesn't work out? So we spend a lot of time doing that. And then like with a school like this, I try to push them. Well, I do push them to make sure that they're doing something that they truly love. So like for me, and I use the example all the time. So what I do, like I said, it's not work for me. It's my passion. I love doing it, and I get paid to do what I love. So you should do the same. Be happy in what you're doing. But in that unit, it's an extensive unit. It's about 3.5 weeks because I actually make them go do all that stuff, and then oftentimes, then we talk about networking. And so once they, they might know what they want to do, and I might know somebody right away. I'll tell them, hey, like one student I had was photography, so I said, hey, talk to Jamie Owens. He does these types of things. So we're able to also help them navigate around certain things to where they can find out if they really like it, or maybe they might want something different in that field. One person wanted to be an athletic director, so they took sports management and then figured out that they wanted to be a general manager. You know what I mean? Um, so there's a lot of ways that we help kids in their career paths, and I'm in touch with mentors if they say, hey, if you know somebody in this person's interested in this. So a lot of work goes into it. Yeah, do it.
And I can talk about that from the student perspective. So I think that I think also something that university does really well is just kind of like nurturing the students' passions. So because I would have never thought that I would have been the most artsy person, but here I am. I'm taking a high level art class for the second time, and which is like something that I have to think, or it's like I have to think about how I'm a photographer, so I have to think about how my photos is trying to portray the meaning that I wanted to portray, and what can I do better, and what I could do better, and what works. And so I just think that learning from passionate people kind of helps develop the students' interests also a little more too. So
Yeah. Okay. I think we're about at time. There's one question left here that was the last question asked about how often do we send kids to like top level universities, Ivy Leagues, MIT, Stanford, and uh, how is their recruitment from university?
Yeah. So what I talked about earlier, we really stress fit. So every year we will have a couple of students. We have a student from last year's graduating class who goes to MIT. Year before, we had a student go to Stanford. In fact, every year we have students who are admitted to those top level schools, and it just kind of depends on the student and whether they actually decide, am I going to enroll at that school, or am I going to go to another school? So we really stress fit. So there's no doubt we have an amazing students here who are top students. Those top level universities recognize that about our schools. They reach out to us. They get to know our students in our profile. But the goal is that our students are trying to find good fit schools for them as well. And so we really nurture that. And we 1,000,000% support students who are going for those, we call them zero predictability schools. And every year we have students who are admitted and go to those schools, but we also have students who IU might be a good fit, or they might be looking for a smaller liberal arts school, and we recognize that and the needs
Scholarships.
and
Yeah.
scholarship money. In fact, that's what we're doing with the juniors right now. We're talking about what that actually means. And a lot of times, especially in today's world, money is really drives those conversations. So we support that. And yeah.
Well, and I just wanted to say quickly that wh- we are the school where if you decide to go to a state school to become a nurse, we celebrate that as if you're going to MIT to become a rocket scientist. You know, we need nurses and we need rocket scientists. So that's the thing I love about our school. I was talking to a parent today, actually, a prospective parent, and that's exactly what we talked about. Yep, we celebrate the kid at Stanford, but we celebrate the kid at Indiana State too. We're not that prep school that only talks about that one tier of colleges. Maddy and Lede and the school since its founding has been committed to the best fit college for you, and we celebrate wherever you go and whatever you're going to become, and I'm really proud of that.
All right. Well, I think that puts us at about an hour from when we started this conversation. So I really want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, if you have other questions, all of us here are happy to answer your questions, particularly Taylor and Nancy, who you're probably more familiar with. And then I will encourage you to go to the website and check out a lot of the information there. We tried to avoid going through a lot of that information because it's there for you. We wanted you to actually hear from us and be able to have a conversation with you tonight. So make sure you go there. I'm sure a lot of other questions will be answered there. So thanks again for taking time out of your week to join us. We're really happy to see you here today. So again, if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks again. Have a great night.
Thank you.